Thank you all for coming. During this session, we are going to look at what Dailymotion has done to build one UWP application for both Xbox and Windows, and then we'll try and build Dailymotion Lite in 20 minutes. So I work in their user product tribe. My name is Damien, Delaire. I'm the technical lead for the Windows and Smart TV platforms. I've been working there for 4.5 years, and I've been an MVP for 3 years. So as most of you have probably known, Dailymotion rebranded in 2017. What did that mean? We scrapped everything and restarted from zero. So today we are here to show you the best video that we can. We are here to be the home for video that matters. What does that mean? That really means that we are really trying to improve our platform. As you can see, this is a completely redone home page. Completely different compared to what we used to have. Dailymotion is about 3 billion videos views per month, 300 million unique visitors per month, and 150 million videos in our catalog. So our organization, 50% of the Dailymotion is in engineering. What does that mean? So engineering is scale, user product, partner, data, design, and our infrastructure team. So Dailymotion is more than 200 men and women dedicated to ensuring that we are delivering the best video experience, to our audience and our partners. So more than 200 people, more than 18% are women, which is awesome. We are located in 10 different locations around the world, Paris, New York, Singapore, and we're still looking for another 100 people. So, one of our main missions is to deliver the best video experience. How have we done that? Basically, we own the whole stack, from the player to the encoding to the delivering our CDN and so on. We have our own distribution servers, so we own the whole stack, which is pretty cool. So a bit of history. Dailymotion was created in 2005. We had one data center. 2010, we got 2. 2015, we got 4, with 2.5 million views per hour. 2017, Neon is what we call an internal new release and our new rebranding. We had 9 data centers and 5 million video views per hour. So a bit of numbers. We have 462 million files, 15 petabytes of data, and over 3,000 servers. Because to manage and to encode all of these videos, it takes a lot of processing power. So this is the new architecture that we literally brought out in 2017. We basically rebuilt everything, and as you can see, the response times have been greatly improved across the board. Dailymotion is 100 API centric. All of our applications are using GraphQL. Our website is built in React. We use Nginx, Golang, Docker. Whatever is the best, we try to use it. And for the public, we have a REST API, which is going to allow you to have access to our videos, thumbnails, titles. You can also explore our API. You can play with our player API. So we have an SDK for all the platforms on the player SDK. And you can also upload videos through our public REST API. Some numbers. So we have over 300 million monthly active users, 150K API keys, 4 million daily API requests, and our response time is about 70 milliseconds, which is pretty cool. We have a developer portal, which will allow you to check and see what you can do with our API, and I will show you in the demo afterwards. The ultimate viewing experience. When we rebranded, this was key. This is what we wanted it to be. We really tried our best to try and bring you the best viewing experience. So what does this mean? This means that we have one HTML5 player that is installed on all our device. Every app, whether it's iOS, Android, Xbox, Smart TV, Windows 10, all are using the same HTML5 player, which allow us to bring the best delivery across all of those platforms. So these are some of the features that you can do and that it has: branding, watermarking, response design, subtitles, multi-language support, up next queue, picture-in-picture, autoplay, that's helpful for a video player, like and watch later. So we managed almost the whole viewing stack until recently. Before, we did not own the monetization stack. Today we do. So before, we used to call third-party libraries, which could generate some lag once in a while. So we really tried, because we wanted to have the best experience, we told ourselves we should do this internally, and so we did. So what happened? In 2017, yes, that's it. In 2017, we set out to build our own SSP, ad server, and DSP. And in 2018, we were able to deliver our own ads, which is really awesome. So let's get a bit into the subject, because you're not here to hear about the HTML5 player. So let's go back in time. 2017, Dailymotion decided to rebrand, and we decided to rebuild everything from the ground up. We looked at the Xbox and the desktop apps for Windows, and in the end, it was decided to build an Xbox-first application using UWP. So we decided to build one one Windows application that would first target Xbox and then desktop, using the UWP framework. So a new watching experience, a new UI, a new architecture. So what and how was the application built? So we use GraphQL. 2 years back, no GraphQL client, and even today it's not great. So basically, we rewrote the whole GraphQL layer for Windows. Reactive UI, which allows you to interact depending on what the user is using. MVVM Lite, very awesome MVVM framework. And Windows Community Toolkit to allow you to do a lot of tweaks, the adaptive grid view, notification, tiles. I mean, this is like the ultimate toolbox. What else did we use? Hockey app, because that's what allows us to track all of our issues that are reported from the app, custom app tracking, Braze for push notifications, and the Daily Player SDK. Some metrics: Dailymotion, or at least for the UWP app, is 18K lines of code, about 2,000 files, and the application boots in around 2.5 seconds. Internally, we also use GitHub to store our code, Jira for all of our tickets, Zeppelin, this is for the design and us developers to communicate, and Applos, which allows us to do user testing. So let's look at the Dailymotion app in 2017. So this is what the app looked like when it was released in 2017. As you can see on the left, we have the Xbox app, and on the right, the tablet app. Basically, there's almost no difference, maybe for the search, but the whole layout was thought for TV first. Today, this was released last week. So we've taken the concept of having one app and then try to mix it up a bit and have a few more elements that are removed, switched, and hidden away. For example, on the Xbox app, we're going to see that we're still going to have the search on the top right, but the search button, if you look on the desktop, is text in search, whereas the other one is just the icon, because if the users can press Y to search, maybe we don't need to have the text there. Same thing for the thumbnails. They're much larger on Xbox because for viewing purposes, if they're too small on your TV, you're going to have issues. Users are not going to be able to see, and it's just not going to work. And also for the desktop app, we've released a new catalog menu, which is completely inaccessible on Xbox, so we decided to remove that. Building for Xbox. So what to keep in mind? So each TV has its own safe zone. That one actually caused me quite a few problems because when the Xbox is running on Sony, Samsung, or Panasonic, they don't have the exact, they don't render the same way. 720p is rendered differently on Panasonic and on Samsung, so you really have to be careful when you work inside those safe zones, which is, of course, what we did at Dailymotion. And so you can have the application that is stretched out, and so you would actually not be able to see what's happening in there. So you have to be really careful with the safe zone focus traps, because the Windows SDK for the HTML5 player is, as you've guessed, because it's an HTML5 player, is a webview. Webview is the ultimate focus trap. Navigation, because on Xbox you have a controller, and the controller is not your mouse or your hand on your tablet, so it really got to think things through, because certain elements will not be accessible with the controller. And the next issue is that colors on TV, for some random, that I don't know at least, you don't have the full range. You don't go from 0 to 255. You go from, we'll see afterwards, but I think it's 13 or 16 to 244 or 233. Oops. So this is the safe zone that I was talking about. Basically, there's a 48 by 27 pixel margin around your whole application. If you want it to go outside, basically all you need to do on your shell is go negative 48 and negative 27, and it will fill your whole, the whole TV. However, on certain TVs, you probably will have issues. Panasonic specifically. So the range is 16 to 235. So what does that mean? Is basically in your styles, if you just set the foreground to black, so it's not going to render black. So that's why it's a much better idea to, in your styles, to define black. Personally, for Dailymotion, not personally, but designers at Dailymotion have decided that black for us is 23, 23, 23. So you really have to be careful. If you go too high or too low, you're going to have the sensation that the colors are bleeding out. So this is a navigation issue on Xbox. The follow button works great when you're on tablet. But when you're on Xbox, you're completely, it's inaccessible, because you'll never be able to actually access these follow actions. So here they were removed. Same thing for the search. When you search on Xbox, you look on the channels, you see that they don't have the follow button, again, because you can't actually access the follow button, so there's no point to show it to the users. Navigation. So this is what you're going to have. You're either going to have a controller or a remote. Another fun thing is if you if you decide to map the Y button for search and the user has a home remote, well, he can't search. So you got to think about these different ways of navigating that one control is going to have buttons that the other one doesn't have. Another navigation issue is if you're on your Xbox, basically the middle square, you'll never be able to access it. So you really have to be careful on how you position your elements. Same thing here. If in your list you have over 50 items, if you want to go to the previous button, you have to go, you got to click 51 times. So on the Dailymotion app, what does this mean? If I type imagine, because I want to watch Imagine Dragons, and I want to click on top of the world, basically I have to click 5 times, which, depending on how you want your UX to be done, can be good or not so great. Focus straps. So what are focus straps? Focus straps are basically areas in your application or buttons or components which, if it's a list view or a grid view and they have endless loading, they're probably going to end up being a focus trap because the user will never be able to access elements that are under that list view or grid view. Sliders are traps, toggle switch are traps, elements outside of the frame are traps, and web views will trap you 100% of the time. So finding where the focus has gone is actually very, very useful. Because sometimes if you're on a web view, for example, and you're trying to navigate somewhere and you don't know where you are, and you click up, down, B, Y, whatever, it's the web view that it's going to take the key and not the app. So this little piece of code, which basically on my shell, so Dailymotion is built around a root page, shell page, whatever you want to call it, and it catches every event when an element is focused. And this just basically allows me to know what is focused. If you don't want to type it yourself, you can also go to the Windows Community Toolkit and download this focus tracker, because why code something when it's already been developed and it's probably better than my poor piece of code. So building a UI that can work for Xbox and desktop. This is the Xbox app in the beginning of 2018. As we can see, it's got a carousel for the daily pulse, for you explore library at the top, the search, then you've got videos at the bottom. If we look at the desktop/tablet app, it's almost the same thing. But the application was first focused for Xbox. And this is what was released last week. Sorry, I didn't do the skinning correctly. But basically, as we can see, the layout's not that different. So you can reuse a lot of components. You just have to tweak it a bit, which we will see. State triggers. State triggers are very useful because they allow you to show, hide different elements and set different values in XAML and not in C#. Here, for example, so DM search icon and DM search bar control. One is going to be collapsed, the other is going to be visible, which is basically how I get to have one view that works for Xbox and desktop. So let's start coding. Sorry. So what are we going to do? So we're going to call the HTTP REST API for Dailymotion, set up an MVVM architecture, play with the HTML5 SDK, make a UI that works for both Xbox and desktop, and we're going to use the Xbox controller on my laptop because I was not able to bring a Xbox. So step one, and sorry, I really... So step one. So here I've set up the application with my, So we've got my helpers, my models, my services. These are just folders. My view models and my views. I've cheated a bit because I've coded parts of it, but that allows us to go quicker. So in the references, I've installed MVVM Lite, Newton Soft, and the Dailymotion SDK, which is just a WebView wrapper. So then we go for the MVVM architecture. Come on. So we have our WebView models, we have our entity WebView models, and our page view models. The entities is going to be where we're going to hold our items, and the page view models is where we're going to hold the view models for our views. And in the views, I've kept it simple. I have a main view and a video view. So let's look at the HTML5 player. So you can find the Dailymotion Player SDK on GitHub. All you have to do is type Windows Dailymotion Player SDK, and it should come out in your query. Here you've got a lot of information on how to set it up. You have to remember that in your package manifest, you really need to say and put a wildcard for the dailymotion.com and say that all content from Dailymotion can be queried, or else this won't work. This is usually something that I forget to do, and I wonder a few minutes why it's not working. So, All right. So next step that's interesting, because some of you might not have Xboxes to test your app right away, is to be able to know what type of device your application is running on. So I've got this little class that basically allows me to know what version I'm on. If I'm on a phone, which, well, we all know what, if some people still have Windows phones, but tablets, IoT, Surface, Xbox, or other. So here I launched the app. It's quite important to try and remove when you launch a default UWP application on Xbox. What's going to happen is that you're going to have a cursor, just like as if you were trying to navigate in a web view. This basically removes that cursor and shows you a focus on your elements, which I prefer. This is the default size of your application on an Xbox. This is not useful when you're launching the app on an Xbox, but it's extremely useful when you're trying to simulate the application as an Xbox on your laptop, which we will be doing afterwards. So that was step one, which is quite easy to do. Step two, we're going to look at the different HTTP endpoints, how to transfer that models, and so on. So we talked about the developer portal on Dailymotion. So as you can see, this is completely open to the public. I am not connected. You can query our database and try and find videos, users, playlists, and so on. So all I'm going to try and do is find the most trending videos, on Dailymotion. So if I put nothing in and just click on test, what's really cool is that it's going to give me the URL to query, and it's going to give me the result. So we seem to have, I have no idea what the filter was here, so let's put in something different. List. What to watch. And so here we have different videos that are coming to the Dailymotion, and here we have the HTTP URL that the application is, or what the URL is and what the context is from that endpoint. So once you're here, these are the two final endpoints that I'll be using. So I'll be asking for the fields channel.name, so I didn't show you. So here at the top, basically you can ask for any field you like. You might need to be authenticated for certain fields. So channel. And here basically you can ask for any fields you want. When you launch, here, let's put ID, title, thumbnail. So here we're requesting different fields, so that's pretty cool. You can actually request the fields that you want. So for certain calls, you can do specific queries, so that's pretty cool. And my final query was this one. So this is one of the endpoints that we'll be querying. So I'm asking for channel.name, the ID of the video, which I'm going to need to launch the video player, thumbnail URL, the title, the owner name. So is it from Red Bull? Is it from RTL or something else? So let's go to the second step. So for the second step, I've created HTTP client, service, and I've created different services. So basically I have one service that calls, no, that's not this one, the trending videos. So from this one, I'll be able to generate a list of videos that we've just seen before. And the second one is using the related videos from this one. So as you can see, it needs a video ID. Of course, before you can do all of this, you got to transform the HTTP response in models, which I've done here. And because the Dailymotion endpoint is a bit weird, sometimes, well, you can't have a channel.name. JSON is not going to be able to map it correctly, so you have to give it the correct property name so that it can map it correctly. This is called 11 references. Yes, so all this. So for the main view, what I've done, so I just have a very simple main view. It's a grid that's holding a grid and an adaptive grid view from UWP toolkit. The adaptive grid view, what it's really cool with it is that it basically allows you to set the item width, desired width of your item. So when you're stretching it out, it's going to fit the whole screen, whereas if you set it a defined state, it wouldn't move. So I'm referencing here my page view model, my main page view model, which is here, which only holds an observable collection of video item view models, which itself only holds the video item, which is mapped through the JSON. And I didn't do anything for the video view, so we're good here. And this one's empty, perfect. So here, all I'm doing, so like I said, observable collection, and I've got another method called load video entities, which uses my trending service. I get the trending videos, I set this property, data video item source, which is mapped here through xbind. So you have the choice between binding and then directly the video, the property, or using xbind, which will use the video model that is set here, and we'll reference the, and then we'll get the method here. No, we'll get the property here, and then it'll be binded. So here we're good to go. So next step. Sorry, I'm not compiling these because there's nothing to see, because I didn't do the data templates. So the step 3 will be the fun one. So in step 3, we are going to look at the adaptive grid view, how it's pretty cool, how we can play with the grid view and the desired width, the data templates, the HTML5 player, and then we'll see some focus traps. So let's start with the data templates. So like I've said, I've remapped white and no, these aren't the ones I'm using, sorry. Yes, this is, so I've remapped black to 23, 23, 23, or else on the Xbox you won't have the exact color that you desire. Here are just styles, and here are the templates. One is for a fixed size, so one is for the video page, and the other one is for the home page. Fixed height, and one doesn't have a fixed height. And here all I've got, no, one has, they both have fixed height, sorry, but one has a fixed width and the other one doesn't. So this is just a grid that's holding 2 rows, and one is just telling it for the height to be 70% for the first row and 30% of height for the next row. So the image here will take 70% of whatever it can take, and the next row will take 30%. So thumbnail, by, and title are the different bindings. So we should be able to find these in our video item view model, which is located here. So we've got thumbnail URI, that's the on-click. Oh, sorry, right, they're here. Title and by. So these are just the channel name, title, and the thumbnail URL that I'll get afterwards. And let's see the adaptive grid view. So I've decided that desired width for my items should be 450. You can put whatever you want. What is really important is that for the Xbox, for the controller to work, you need to make your item clickable and not tappable, because you can't tap on an Xbox. Oops, sorry. Item click. This is, again, when I'm going to click on A, I get my event, and then I do, and then I call the command. And selection mode single, which is a bit more practical if you want to be able to select one item and then go somewhere on the video view. Here I have some visual state groups, so state triggers nested in them. Basically, when I'm on Xbox, I say that the desired width should be 450. And when I'm on a tablet, I say that it should be 300. Actually, no. Minimal width. What did I put? Okay, so no, that was an error. When by default, the desired width is going to be the width that is here, so 450. And if for some reason the user resizes the application, the desired value will be 300. So if I build the app, so here are the calls, the videos. The adaptive grid is going to stretch out my items with the desired width inside. And then if I reduce it to the maximum, which is this, we get our new desired width, which is pretty cool. So what we're going to do now is that was the app on a tablet. And if we want to try it out on an Xbox, basically all we have to do is force the device type to Xbox, which is going to set the size of the app. And so we're going to be able to, on our laptop, be able to see how the app would render on an Xbox. Okay, that was a fail. All right, that's much better. So this is how the application will render on the Xbox. As you can see, I've got the focus on the first one. If I go down, I'm good to go. On the tablet, if I were to tap, it's the on-tap event that's fired. And on the Xbox, if I keep the on-tap event and not the on-click, you will never be able to catch that event. So I recommend to just use the on-click. Even if on tablet it's a tap, it works as a click also. And when I click, so I've actually used the focus tracker from, what is it called? Windows Community Toolkit. I've got the Dailymotion Player in the back, and we can't do anything, but we're seeing that we get an ad. So let's see how we loaded the player and how we loaded a video. So for the SDK, what's recommended to do is to first load the HTML5 player, wait for an API-ready event, or not, and then load a video. So so here are different functions and parameters that I'm passing to the player. You can find them on the Dailymotion website. Dailymotion. So everything is actually documented on the Dailymotion website. If you want the player to autoplay your video, you want it to be mute, you want to play with the quality, the size. Here are all of the parameters that you can play with. Like I said, the quality, if you want it to queue to the next video, share, start, the theme, and so on. So I have a few extra parameters, but that's okay. So basically, I'm asking it to autoplay right away and to show the controls. This is actually going to be the most important part. Let's remove all the rest. I have two autoplay. Wow, this is perfect. So these are basically the only two that you're going to need. Controls, this allows you to show or hide the Dailymotion controls. So why would you want to hide them? Well, you're playing with a web view, which means that the user will have to click, if we were on the Xbox, the user would have to click on the web view and then on the play button or the seek or the fast forward, which is not a great UX idea. So we're actually going to edit this, and if we are on the Xbox, we will hide these controls. All right. You can give it an access token if you want to log your users when you're playing a video or not. And then all you have to do on the SDK is initialize it, and when you're good to go. And a little add-on is that I'm taking the web view that's in the SDK and I'm setting it on a grid. So right here, I have a grid that's min width, min height. I've called it my player's grid, and all I'm doing is taking the web view, and putting it in there. So then here we just load a video. I remove the auto cue, and then it loads. So let's go back to the video view when it was launched, and let's see where the issues are going to lie. So my controller, I click on the first one. Here we see, if you look at the focus tracker from the Windows Community Toolkit, I'm stuck on the web view. I can't go anywhere. I can't go down. With my finger, I could move the bottom, and now it works. You see? Now I can go somewhere. But I'm again stuck on the web view. So there are different ways to fix this issue, but basically, if I click back here, it brings me back to the first page. So what can I do to be able to access these related items? Well, what I found is that you actually set the web view inside a button. By setting the web view inside a button, it's the button that's going to take the focus and not the grid view. And so you're going to be able to actually move in your application. So all I've done, I've created a button telling it to take all the place. Is tab stop true? That's important. And then I'm just putting back my grid view in there. Let's launch it. So here, sorry, we can see my play button web. I named this funny. Yeah, we're good. So the button has the focus and not the web view. What does this mean? We can see the focus. We've got the black item focused, and if I go down, now I have access to my grid view items. So the web view is a very powerful item, but you have to set it inside another element that can also be focused so that you can access and go around. As you can see, I can actually click it. But then you can style it. So what I've done for Xbox, basically, I've removed all the stylings of the button. When you click on it or do whatever, the button will do nothing. And then at the bottom, I can navigate and go on another video, and it will load, and we get a nice little ad. To have items horizontally like this, all I had to do vertically, sorry, like this. all I had to do was to set my grid view, to give it a height, and to say that the items, and edit the items panel template, and then put in there an items wrap grid, and say that the orientation should be vertical. And the focus tracker from the Microsoft toolkit, which is really practical. And that's about it. Because here we have the loading. I mean, it's the same thing as before. The service, the API service is the same. There's nothing. We're just inserting, oh, wrong one, related video. Inserting the video ID with our different fields. So here I'm asking for channel name, ID, thumbnail, title, and owner username. So basically I'm asking the same thing as the other one, but without, what is it called? I think it's trending, without a sort, without the sort trending. And that's, oh, another thing. So we can also play with the controller. So what I've done here at the beginning, I'm listening to the key down event, and I've remapped certain buttons. For example, I've mapped the right and left movements of my joystick, and basically what's happened is when I'm here, so on this one, the video should fast forward if it doesn't crash on me. So it crashed, awesome. Next one. So I can't fast forward on an ad, or else that would be too easy, so I won't be able to show you unless we wait 10 seconds. But basically here, all I've done with the Dailymotion Player SDK is a seek 30 seconds or seek negative 30 seconds. So that allows you to go forward and back, and allows me to map buttons on the controller. And this button can actually is also mapped for the remote. So I've done the same thing for the remote. So that's pretty cool. If we go back, we should be able, we're on the video. And now we are, is it seeking? Oh, I'm seeking, so I'm going backwards, forwards, and there we are. That's it for my session. Yes, that's it for my session. Thank you for joining. And I was told that if you are one of these people, you are the winner of the des différents résultats, donc du coup chez LinkedIn, Eni et les autres. Donc du coup voilà. Donc si vous avez gagné, bravo. On me dit aussi qu'il y a des verres il y a un petit pot au -1. Donc du coup on peut tous se retrouver au -1, prendre une bière, on est quand même en Belgique, et profiter. Du coup voilà, j'espère que vous avez aimé cette session, et puis voilà, si vous avez des questions, n'hésitez pas, je suis là. Merci beaucoup.